Mr. Halloran with Takeoff's IO. Today I just want to walk you through our on-screen takeoff tool. And in order to access our on-screen takeoff tool, what you want to do is make sure you've got the measures button selected on the left-hand menu. You'll then need to upload your set of plans. In order to do that, you can click on the new project, and that's going to bring up your file picker window. You simply grab the file that you need and click open. You can also select on the big upload button box and the same pop-up will occur. If you have your plans on your desktop, such as I do here, I can also just drag and drop them straight into the platform. Now, it's going to take a couple of seconds for it to render those pages. What you'll see here is that we've got now a thumbnail view down the bottom of each page that was in our PDF set of blueprints. The first step that we want to do is go ahead and rename our project. So this name is going to be used throughout. So I'll call this, we can call this 176 Torrens Road, just so I know what that one's going to be called. Now, as we toggle through each of these pages, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and rename the page. So this page is a floor plan. I can go and call that floor plan if I wish. I can also rename it as the area that I'm measuring. Maybe it's going to be floor tiles or external walls. The next thing I want to do, you can see we've got a little warning here. We need to go and set our scale. So to do that, I'm going to go look at the page title. That's down here, and this is a metric plan, so it's going to be scales 1 to 100. So I'm going to come in here, select metric, and 1 is to 100. I'm going to go ahead and select tick on that, and everything now is ready to go. If for some reason we don't have a scale on the drawing, we can always use our set page scale tool, and that's going to allow us to measure the page with a known dimension. So I'll come in here and just left click and hold, drag it to this next line here. Because we're in millimeters, it's set default to metric, and it's asking me for a millimeter measurement. So straight away I measured that 10,370, and we can see the page scale is of course 1 to 100. That's a good way of verifying that we are working with the correct scale. Okay, so now we've got our floor plan ready to go. Here are our key features in order to control a page. So the select allows us to go and select a marked up item. We'll use that more so later. Our hand tool allows us to reposition the page. Great if we're zooming in on a certain area and we just want to move it around. That's how we do that. To access the hand, we can also hold the space button. So this makes a really easy way of moving it around just with that keyboard shortcut there. Now our zoom tool allows you to drag, left click and hold and drag over the area that you wish to zoom in on. And we can continue to do that as we need to. Now our zoom out button is just going to step out the zoom by left clicking. Now we can also zoom in and out by using a wheel mouse if you've got a scroll or a wheel mouse on your mouse. It's a combine between the mouse scroll and space bar to reposition the plans, a really quick way of moving around. Zoom to fit is going to maximize the zoom of the page for our screen. And we can also hide our menu bar there to give us a little bit more real estate if you're working on a small screen. Sometimes your plans will be uploaded in the wrong direction. So we can go and rotate those 90-degree increments at a time to get that into the right orientation. And sometimes it's just easier to work with a plan in portrait format depending on the orientation of the plans. Right, so that's the key functions in order for controlling the view of the blueprint. Now we're going to start our measurements. So I'm going to start with measuring the external walls. So I'm just going to grab the multi-line tool. We left click, and you can see that we can now start to measure an area. You'll notice that sometimes it can be hard to get a straight line. So if I actually hold Control, you'll notice now that it snaps that line at 90-degree angles. So I actually like to hold Control as I'm going around, particularly using the line tool. It just allows me to be a little bit more accurate with my corners. I tend to be a little bit OCD, like my corners to be 90-degree angles. So double click to finish, and that's going to terminate that line for us. You'll see that measurement now has popped over here into the right-hand column. Now, because we're in metric, it's showing in metric units, but we can always convert that down to US if we want to. It's really important to rename this to our measurement, and I'll show you why. Now that we've renamed that into external walls, I can now go in here and say I wanted to add in this garage wall, because this is really going to be a load-bearing wall. You'll see now that it's copied down that same name. So here's our second drawing we did, our second line. And what it's done is actually summarized it into one calculation for us. Now, for that to happen, it needs to be the same color and needs to have the same name. If those two are correct, it's going to assume it's the same calculation and it's going to group them for us automatically. That's a really good way of measuring multiple walls or multiple areas of a plan and have them summarize up into one calculation. Okay, so I'm going to now go and change my color. I'm going to pick this lighter pink color. All right, unselect that. I'm going to go and change my color to this pink, and again select the line tool, and now I can go and measure my internal walls. Again, double click, come across. I like to rename after my first measurement. That way I know it's going to automatically follow rename, that naming convention for me. And there we go. And if for some reason, oops, let me just, that line there can always be deleted by hitting the trash button. I'll go and delete that line. Now, if I want to measure say the tile area, I'm going to come and grab a new color. I'm going to left click and hold and drag to the area that I need. Now you'll notice here on this one, I haven't actually renamed it straight away. So I'm going to go through and just measure some areas here. Okay, so we've got an internal and two externals. Now that one is obviously going to be different, so I'm actually going to leave that one for now, but this one I'm going to call external tiles. Now I can copy that name or retype it, and I'm going to put it down to this this measurement here. And you'll see now these two have been grouped together. This one's left out, so I can call this wet area tiles. As you'll see, it's the same color, but it's a different name. So it has been grouped in with the external tiles. So just for clarity, what I'd like to do is actually give that a slightly different color. And now I know my internal tiles versus my external tiles are a completely different color. So let's go ahead now and just measure up our main living areas. For that, the square shape's not really going to work. So what we can do is we can grab the polygon tool and start measuring a non-symmetrical shape. So with the polygon, it's just left click to start, then you left click each time you want to change direction or you want to put a node or a corner down. So I'm just going around here, left clicking as I go. As I get up to here, my last measurement or my last point, I'm just going to double click, and now that's going to set that measurement for me. And now again, because it's using the same color, same name, those areas have now been grouped together. So wet area tiles no longer really suits that name, so I might just go and rename that as internal tiles. And because I've named the top one of the group, it's gone and renamed all of them. So once I'm happy now with my measurements here, there's a couple of things I can do. I can go and duplicate this page because perhaps I still want to do some more calculations on the floor plan, but I don't want to clutter it up with different things. So I can go and rename this floor plan, and maybe it's going to be, drywall. And I'll go and make my measurements for the wall as needed. Another good tool is our count function. So this can be used on things like electrical drawings. So maybe this is an LED light. And as I go, just marking these as needed. And you'll see the tally there just gives me a running tally. If at any point I need to delete a marker, I can come in here and I can highlight any one of these. I can reposition it, or I can hit the delete button and it's gone. Same thing works for any of these dimensions. So say, for example, I didn't want this all here, I could adjust it to run all the way through, or I can delete it completely. Delete it completely there. And that's how some of the basic features work. Now, if you're doing a takeoff and you don't have time, you can always hit this purchase takeoff button, and it'll actually take you through our workflow, and you can have one of our estimators do it for you. Great if you're busy and you just don't have time to finish it. Or if you're done with your takeoff, you can hit the export button. What that's going to do is come down here and generate an Excel file for us. Just going to open that up into Excel. Hit the Enable Editing button if you're using Windows. I'll just quickly walk you through what is shown here. So this will be your company name, and you'll configure that in your profile. This is the project name that we gave at the start. And our measurements tab is going to give us a running total of all our measurements across the entire takeoff set. Now, each of the units that were used is in here. Now, you'll notice the difference between meters, linear meters, square meters, and quantity each. The total quantity is calculated, and we've also built in formulas directly into this spreadsheet, so you can edit your formulas, your rates, and that'll actually work out your quantity bid for you straight away. The summary tab is going to give you a view of each page that has a markup, and it's going to set this up so that if we have, say, LED lighting across multiple pages, that'll be tallied up. So you'll see that page 2 doesn't have any LED lighting, but page 5 does. So if we had multiple pages of lighting, this will tally that up across all those pages, which is a really good way of seeing quantities if you're working on multiple floors. The other thing we do is each tab is going to be renamed the page name, and you can set the page name here. So it's really good to set a name that makes sense for what the pages you're measuring. Because if we zoom out here just a little bit, what we do is we actually create an image of the markup. And this is an image, so you can copy that and you can paste it into any other Word document as you like, see, and that can go into your bid. You can do what you need with that. And we also copy through the legend. So you've got a quick summary here of what was measured on this page, and every page has that. So it's a really simple way of getting all the information from your takeoff, and it's completely unlocked. You can copy and paste that into a Word document. You can produce a quote or a bid directly from this Excel sheet, whatever it is that you like to do for your workflow. That's pretty much a quick tour of the on-screen takeoff tool. If you've got any questions, please send us an email at hello@takeoffs.io or open up the chat window in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and we're more than happy to walk you through a demo or give you an idea of how the tool works. Thanks for watching.